Good. I'll just hit refresh up there. Why would it not just fix the photo? That's fine.
In an attempt to increase the physical security of your home, you have decided to install some Internet of Things or IoT devices to allow you to remotely monitor your home while you are away. In this packet tracer activity, implement physical security with IoT devices, you will install an IoT device to enhance home security. You will then configure all the IoT devices in the home to connect to the home wireless network, and then communicate with a remote IoT registration server. Part 1. Connect IoT devices to the network. In this part, you will connect IoT devices to the wireless network and implement MAC address filtering. Step 1. Connect the siren to the door. Click Home and locate the home siren and home doors in the living room. In the toolbar at the bottom, click Connections IoT Custom Cable, which is the second to last option. Click Home Siren D0 Interface, and then click Home Doors D0 Interface. Notice how wiring on other parts of the network has bins in it. You can experiment with this as well if you wish. Simply right-click on the cable and create a bin point, and you can grab the bin point and move the cable however you want. This is certainly not necessary, but it is a fun feature of Packet Tracer. Press and hold the Alt key and then click the door to open and close it. Notice that opening the door will now activate the siren. Step 2 is associate all the IoT devices to the HomeNet wireless network. The home wireless router is pre-configured to use WPA2 and MAC address filtering to control who can associate with the network and which devices can use the network to transfer traffic. All new devices must conform to the current configuration. Locate the 4 wireless IoT devices: Home Siren, Home Doors, Home Motion Sensor, and the Home Webcam. Click Home Siren and then Config tab Wireless 0. Configure the SSID as HomeNet, authentication is WPA2 PSK, and the passphrase is Cisco Rocks. In IP configuration, click DHCP. Verify the device received an IP address from the 192.168.0.0 network. It may be necessary to toggle between static and DHCP to force Packet Tracer to converge on your settings. Record the MAC address for the IoT device. I will copy it out to this text file. Format the addresses with colons between each 2 hexadecimal numbers instead of a period between each 4 hexadecimal numbers. This format is required for the next step when you will apply MAC address filtering. I already have the MAC addresses for the other 3 devices copied here. Repeat the wireless configuration step for the other 3 IoT devices. Step 3 is configure MAC address filtering to allow the IoT devices. Click Home Office PC, Desktop tab, Web Browser. Log in to the home wireless router at 192.168.0.1. Use admin as both the username and password. Click Wireless and then Wireless MAC filter. Verify that the filter is enabled for the 2.4 GHz wireless port. Also verify that it is set to permit PCs to access the wireless network. Add the 4 IoT device MAC addresses to the table. Scroll to the bottom and click Save Settings. The home wireless router will reboot. Close the web browser and then click IP configuration. Toggle DHCP and static if necessary to reconnect and get a new IP address. Part 2. Add IoT devices to the registration server. In this part, you will sign up for an account with an IoT remote monitoring service. You will then register the IoT devices to communicate with this service. This will allow you to remotely monitor the IoT devices through a web portal. Step 1 is create an account on the ISP IoT registration server. On Home Office PC, close IP configuration and then click Web Browser. Navigate to 10.3.0.125. Click Sign Up Now and create a new account with the username Home User and a password with the special characters specified in the instructions. I have the password typed out here and will copy it to my clipboard for use now and later. At this point, the IoT server shows no devices registered. Step 2 is register each IoT device with the registration server. Each of the 4 IoT devices must be registered with a registration server to remotely monitor and manage the device. In this step, you will configure each device to communicate with the registration server. Click Home Siren, Config tab, and then Settings under Global. Scroll to the IoT section at the bottom of the page and select Remote Server. Enter the IP address of the IoT registration server, which is 10.3.0.125. Enter the username and then the password, which I have copied to my clipboard. Click Connect. The button will change to Connecting and then to Refresh in a few seconds. The IoT device is now registered with the server. Note, if the button doesn't change to Refresh, then you may have entered the information incorrectly. Therefore, re-enter the information and repeat this step. Repeat these steps for the other 3 IoT devices. At this point, your completion rate should be 100%. Part 3. Explore IoT security device functionality. In this part, you will explore the functionality of the IoT devices and monitor their states on the IoT registration server. Step 1 is observe and control IoT devices from the registration server. Click the Home Office PC. Notice that all 4 devices are now registered with the registration server. Click each section for each IoT device to display the device details. Notice that all devices show on, indicating that they have an active connection to the IoT registration server. Click the red rectangle under Home Doors to activate it. Notice the siren and door rectangles simultaneously changed to green, indicating that they are now active. This also confirms that they are linked. In the living room, the door is open and the siren is red. Click the door rectangle again to deactivate the device. The siren and door rectangles simultaneously turn red, indicating that they are no longer active. Click the green rectangle for home webcam. Notice that the video has turned off. Click the green rectangle again to turn on the home webcam. Click the red circle for home motion sensor. Nothing will happen because the motion sensors only sends information to the registration server. This is an example of a device that can be monitored only. Step 2 is interact with the sensors in the home. In Packet Tracer, the IoT devices can normally be activated by holding down the Alt key and then clicking the device, or Alt-click. The motion sensor is activated by holding down the Alt key and moving the mouse over the sensor. Alt-click on the door. Notice that the images for both the door and the siren change, indicating that they are active. Zoom in if necessary, and then alt-click on the webcam. Notice the display light on the webcam extinguished, indicating it was turned off. Hold down the Alt key and move your mouse over the motion sensor. Notice the activity illuminated when the sensor detected motion. This is also shown on the registration server by the activity light turning green when the sensor showed active. This concludes this packet tracer activity. Implement physical security with IoT devices.
Let's go to that. Should have probably gone through all that before I came in here this one. Let's go through real quick on that. Yeah, not even right now. Let me go take a piss. I'll be right back. What time is over? I'll be back. Alright, I'm back. Let's go. It's between supports to keep and AES. It's either between those two. I'm not always sure which one it is, but I know it's between these two. Okay, yeah. So the keep is used in the first one, and then AES is used in double PA2. So yeah, it's this one because AES is better for encryption. Secure shell. DNS. I think it's used between type 1 and type 2, I think. It's a type 2. Right. Shit. Type 2. Let's see what is a type 1 error there. Okay, so that's when it's actually correct, but it's get rejected. Okay, cool. It's IP spoofing, I think. It's for DHCP. Yeah, pretty sure it's for DHCP. Yeah, wireless IP spoofing. Ping uses that. Encrypted voice messages. I actually don't know what it does on me. It's so tricky to do. Oh god. Let's see what I got wrong. Okay, it's not wireless IP speaking. So what kind of... is it wireless sniffing then? It's not poison. It might be poisoning actually, I don't know. Stars could have been... stars could have been... Okay, it says man in the middle. The other time I'm very sure it said something else, but this time it said man in the middle. Okay. So it is wireless speaking. But yeah, this is done here. It's done. Nice. Very, very nice. And that's just controls. We got a little video for this one here. Configure access controls.
Authentication and
12 minutes. That's not a short video. 12 minutes is not a short video, but yeah, we'll watch it anyway, so it's fine.
authorization are distinct security processes in the world of identity and access management. Authentication uses passwords and other identification methods to confirm that users are who they say they are. By contrast, authorization assigns user permissions to resources that the user is allowed to access. In this packet tracer activity, Configure Access Control, you will configure authentication and authorization for network services including wireless network access, email, and FTP services. This activity opens in physical mode. However, you can complete it in logical mode. Also note that most tasks in this activity are graded. I will keep this grading window on top so we can watch the percentage increase as I complete tasks. Part 1. Configure and use AAA authentication credentials. Step 1. Configure user accounts on the AAA server. Navigate to Headquarters, and then click the wiring closet, which is the tall black server chassis in the bottom left corner. On the right rack, click AAA Radius Server, Services tab, and then AAA under Services. Turn on the AAA service. Under User Setup, add the usernames User1 and User2 with the password specified in the instruction. Step 2 is Configure Wireless Authentication on HQ Laptop 1. Navigate back to HQ and click HQ Laptop 1. It is located 2 rooms to the right of the wiring closet. Click Config tab and then under Interface, click Wireless 0. In the SSID box, type HQ-INT. In the Authentication area, click WPA2. In the User ID box, enter User1 and enter pass User1 exclamation point in the password box. In IP configuration section, click DHCP. Wait a few moments for the DHCP offer to be accepted. Verify that HQ Laptop 1 received IP addressing and is assigned an IP address from the 192.168.50.0/24 network. At this point, it is important to note that Packet Tracer does not always converge quickly like this when configuring wireless access. If you are having issues, refer to the note in the instructions for this step. Step 3 is Configure Wireless Authentication on HQ Laptop 2. Click HQ Laptop 2, which is located in the top right-hand corner of HQ. Repeat the previous steps to configure the wireless settings for HQ Laptop 2 using the User 2 credentials. Notice that sometimes it is necessary to toggle between DHCP and static to force DHCP to converge. Verify HQ Laptop 2 received IP addressing and is assigned an address in the 192.168.50.0/24 network. Part 2. Configure and use email services. Step 1 is activate email services and configure email user accounts. Navigate to the wiring closet. On the right side rack, click Mail Server, Services tab, and then Email under Services. Turn on both SMTP and POP3 services. Set the domain name to mail.cyberhq.com. Under User Setup, enter the username and password combinations from the instructions. I have them copied here for easy access. Step 2 is configure email clients. Navigate back to HQ and click PC 1-1, which is in the bottom corner. Click Desktop tab, Email. The Configure Mail settings should open. Enter your name as Suki. Email address is hquuser1@mail.cyberhq.com. Incoming and outgoing email servers are both mail.cyberhq.com. Username is hquuser1. Password is Cisco123!! Click Save. Use the information in the table in your instructions to configure email settings for 2-3, HQ Laptop 1, and NetAdmin. I have that information copied here. PC 2-3 is in the office below the conference room. The NetAdmin PC is in the wiring closet. Step 3 is send an email as Suki. On PC 1-1, click Compose. Compose an email to Ajulo at bruser1@mail.cyberhq.com. Enter a subject and email message of your choice, and then click Send when finished. Note: Packet Tracer may take several seconds to converge before you see the Send Success message at the bottom of the window. Also note that Packet Tracer does not grade this step. Verify you have completed the step correctly by checking to see if Anjulo has received the email. Navigate to Anjulo's PC 2-3, click Receive and read the email from Suki. Part 3. Configure and use FTP services. Step 1 is activate the FTP service. Navigate to the wiring closet. On the right side rack, click FTP Server, Services tab, and then FTP under Services. Turn on the FTP service. Step 2 is create the FTP user accounts. Under User Setup, enter the usernames, passwords, and privileges listed in the instructions. Click Add to add each user. Note: be sure the username Malia does not include the delete privileges. I have the FTP accounts copied here. Verify each user is correctly created and close the server. Step 3 is transfer files between NetAdmin and the FTP server. Click NetAdmin PC and then click Desktop Command Prompt. Enter the command FTP 192.168.75.2 to log in to the FTP server, and then authenticate with the username Suki and password Cisco123. Enter the dir command to list the files on the FTP server. Use the get command to download amessage.txt. Quit the FTP session. Close the command prompt, click Text Editor, and then File Open. Open the downloaded file, amessage.txt. Greetings, you have successfully accessed the FTP server. Click File New. type a message of your choice. Click File Save, and save the new message as a message_new.txt. Close the text editor. Click Command Prompt and then log back in the FTP server as user Supi. Use the put command to upload a message_new.txt. Quit the FTP session. Step 4 is verify FTP user privileges are working as configured. Navigate back to HQ and click HQ Laptop 1. Close the mail browser and click Command Prompt. Log into the FTP server at 192.168.75.2 with the username Malia and password Cisco123.
I can't see
Use the
shit
delete
in
command to attempt to
goddamn-
remove the newly uploaded file, a message_new.txt. Notice that the permission is denied. Recall that the user Malia does not have delete rights. However, she does have rename rights. Use the rename command to attempt to change the name to a message_rename.txt. And the file is successfully renamed. Quit the FTP session
Yeah, I can't see
and
shit.
close
That's not
HQ
put
Laptop
on the
1.
screen, which I'm not gonna
This
do.
completes the packet tracer activity configure access control. You can also verify that you have completed the activity by looking at check results.
Sorry. Stop this here. I'm gonna go to our daily yeah, I'm gonna do the driver's lane now. Maybe 100 days of code here. Finish that one now. See what can range really do. See what it can really do here. The shell, close that. Close that. Oh, okay, there we go. Give range one number and it will count up to that number. However, you can actually give a range function to three options. Starting value, what number you want to start with. Okay, and I already did that last time as well. Any value, the number of the number you add. You want to add with example if your type has any value, you have to count the amount, how much should I increase by the time. For example, we need to count by 1 starting value. I think like okay, no, it's nice. Starting value has and say less than, meaning the computer will stop one number before the ending number that is written in the range. I got it. Let's try that. The first number in this range is 100. The second number in the range is 110. In the value number 2, let's put the ending number as 1 whatever you want to end up with the 200 first. It's kind of probably 100 and then like 109 both. Yeah, 100 to 109. There you go. What do you expect with the print for I in range day? It's going to print day 1 to day 6. Shit. There you go. printed A6. What happens when you run test code? What is that code? I think 13 times table for I in range 113, print I. Just gonna print 1x 13 is equal to, okay, actually it's gonna print like 1x 13 is equal to 13, and then 26, and then yeah, 1x 13 is equal to 13, 2x 13 26. There you go, very nice, very nice. Got that. If that increments our range, okay? We know that this range will start at 0 and continue to 99999. We already know that, yes. So the number for the end value, the increment will increase increments of 21 each time. Right. Let's copy that. Paste it here. And it, there you go. See. Oh yeah, this thing is just crunching for these numbers. Nice. Counting backwards in this example, we are starting at 10 and counting backwards to 0 because 0 is what comes right before the ending value listed. And counting backwards when it's not what you expect. It's going to start with 10 and then it's going to keep going down to 0 basically. There you go, 10, 9, 8, 7, and 0. Nice, very nice. Common errors. Let's see. Long here. Put fine range 10, 0. I mean, I do want it to count down. We want to see -1 here. If we wanted it to count down, if we want it to count up, then we kind of have to reverse it. Otherwise, it won't really do anything. If we do that, it doesn't really print anything now, does it? Pretty sure. It won't print anything. Yeah, there we go. It's just empty. Because you start with 10, you can't go up. Because 0 is less than 10, so you can't go up there. Fix this code. See what's wrong now. It's a folder code, so I in range 20 to 40 -1. Can't really do plus here. Can't do minus here. We can't really go down. Now going down would actually not do anything. The same as the one before, where it wouldn't do anything. Basically. Yeah, it just wouldn't do anything. So it's gotta be that one here. Oh, that was the answer. Yeah. So I'll just keep up with that. Let's see the D20 challenge. To list a starting number, ending number, and implement to use this command to based on the user. Okay. Example, start at 200 and equal to the increment value 20. Let's do that. So let's say, I need a for loop here. Definitely I need a for loop here. But before the for loop, we're gonna have to ask the user start is equal to input. It's gonna be an int as well. We actually int input and input into the start of the range. object, and then figure the start of the range, and then until the end of the range, and then increment is equal to enter that increment number, and then give a welcome stream here, so welcome to the increment start. I don't know what that means. Yeah, this is the range, the end, and the increment value. So for I range, yeah, for I in range start. And implement render I. There we go. I think that's good. So now we gotta print and up here we gotta print start and what is this given? Oh, I got it. Switch that. There we go. And then start that and 4. And then okay, now print and increment by that needs to be outside here. Yeah, there we go. Increment. What's that? That's good. And then for I in range, I'm just gonna print an empty line here, just to leave it a bit of space. Print an empty line, and for I in range start and increment out. Run it. Welcome to the incrementer. To the start of the range, so we're gonna go 20 until the end of the range. 40. That's the increment number 2. So there you go, 22, 20, 22. There you go, and it ends with 38. Since you are using number, what else do you need to add? You're using number input, int, which we already did. Define your variables as letters that can be placed for this in the range. Or I mean, I kind of didn't use letters, I just used the complete words, you know, so that's fine. Yeah. This was fairly easy. Like the scissor one was much harder. It was a lot more work, to be honest. See what they did. That's kind of what we did. And that's just mark this complete. We're done here. And then back to the learning hub. Day 20 done. Nice. 1/5 of the challenge already done. Very, very, very nice. Let me go and try HackTheBox now. get some stuff from over there. That's on TryHackMe. Could do the containerization bit. Could do that, learn a bit about containerization. I think it's gonna be nice. Did watch a video about it, but didn't really understand much, so yeah, it's gonna be nice here. Let's go into this. Is that it? Okay, that's it. Where's the gray? Okay. Shit, laptop's about to turn off here. I didn't realize that. That's some update in my laptop, so I might as well just installed it since I got power plugged in. Yeah, I'll do that. Still not. thank you for the follow, Barzilla. Appreciate that, man. How you doing? Thank you very, very, very much for the follow. Moby Dick, alright. You've shipped, have ye? Captain, have Moby Dick. Let me take a little break here. Be right back. Just gonna get some snacks. Take a short break. Be right back in like 2 minutes here. 2-3 minutes. Alright, I'm back. And we're good to go here. My music stopped there for a sec, but it's just very low. Image, I guess. Should be good here. Just chilling with some videos here before I stream. I don't care about paid product bit, bro. Just let me watch.
Recently, I volunteered my time at a hospice center for dying programmers, also known as X, and I asked the question, you're on your deathbed. A kid comes to your side and says, Grandpa, I want to learn how to code. What do you regret most about programming? My immediate answer would be something like, leave me alone, kid, and let me die in peace. But it's actually an interesting question because programming is not like most careers. It has billions of possible paths with many conflicting opinions and no single right way to do things. Despite its unpredictable nature, I found that there are some universal traps that nearly every developer regrets falling into. And in today's video, we're going to look at 10 of them. Regret number 1, I wish I would have written less code. It's extremely important to understand that code is not an asset, it's a liability. Every block of code is something that you'll have to maintain in the future and something that could break your application entirely. Beginners don't write a lot of code because they don't know how, but as they gain more experience, they start writing more code. Eventually, everybody realizes that less is more, and the total lines of code decrease while productivity increases. increases. However, someday you may transcend to the genius level 10x engineer, at which point the lines of code you produce will go negative. I, for one, am not afraid to admit that I regret 99% of the code I've written. I distinctly remember feeling like a genius when I implemented my first abstraction factory singleton proxy decorator in JavaScript. However, a few years later, an angel came to me in a dream and said, "Bro, you could have just made that a regular function." An idiot admires complexity, a genius admires simplicity. And at that point I realized my entire life was a lie. Simplicity is always a good thing to strive for, but there's a lot of other trade-offs to consider, like readability, performance, maintainability, testability, reusability, and so on. In addition, what's the definition of simplicity? Is it about brevity or readability, or something else entirely? In my opinion, it all comes down to time. The goal is to minimize the amount of time anyone has to spend messing around with your garbage code. Regret number 2. I wish I would have learned to code earlier. When you're young, your brain is highly optimized for learning, but as you get old and crusty and your pineal gland is calcified by the fluoride in the water, your ability to learn becomes diminished. That's why most world-class musicians start at a very young age. Now, you can learn to play the piano or learn to code at any age. Hell, I learned how to play the triangle well into my 30s, but if you start learning how to code when you're 2 or 3 years old, you should easily be able to land a 6-figure job by the time you're 13. Now, most people won't admit it, but there's definitely ageism in tech. Employers will often prefer a younger programmer with a more malleable brain, and that's why the median age of programmers around the world is around 30. Obviously, starting young is great for a lot of things. I wish I would have bought Microsoft stock back in the 80s. The only problem is that I wasn't born yet. So if you want to learn how to code, the best time to start is in the womb, but the second best time is right now, because we're not getting any younger. Before we move on to the next one thing I don't regret is installing the Chrome plugin for daily.dev, the sponsor of today's video. It's a completely free tool that keeps you up to speed on developer news, so you never miss out on the latest new game-changing JavaScript framework. It's a tool built by developers for developers to curate all the information you need in the programming space. But most importantly, it's a great place to network with other like-minded developers. Not only will you find discussions throughout the site, but you can also join squads to network with other professionals using the same tech stack as you. It's truly an amazing resource, and at the low price of free, really every developer should be part of the daily.dev community. And that brings us to regret number 3. I wish I would have finished more projects. This is what my side projects directory looks like, and of all these projects, I finished maybe 2 or 3 of them. Finishing a software project almost always takes way longer than you'll estimate. There's something called the 90-90 rule, where when you feel like you're 90% done with a project, you still have 90% to go. It's not like building a bridge where everything is laid out in a blueprint. With software, you'll almost always have all kinds of unexpected things come up, and if you're a solo developer, you might get distracted and just quit the project and start something entirely new from scratch. I've done that more times than I can count. In fact, I'm even considering not finishing this video. In retrospect though, I really regret not finishing those projects. I don't even want to think about all the hours flushed down the toilet with nothing to show for it. However, it's also important to be honest with yourself and recognize when your app sucks. Some projects just aren't worth finishing, and sometimes knowing when to cut your losses is even more important than finishing a project. Regret number 4. I wish I would have gotten a computer science degree. Going to college is not the most efficient way to learn how to code. You'll learn far more in a real-world job or by building things on your own. And you don't need a degree to get a job even at big tech companies, but going to college and networking and doing internships is the most surefire way to get a high-paying job in tech at a young age. And there are many jobs out there that do require a degree, even though it's arguably pointless. What you don't want to do is get scammed like all these millennials who went to college for a useless degree like Egyptian studies, only to find out that there's no jobs in that field, so they go back to school to get a PhD in Egyptian studies to teach other kids Egyptian studies, creating a literal pyramid scheme. Speaking of pyramid schemes, regret number 5, I wish I would have bought Bitcoin in 2010. Had you invested $100 in Bitcoin when it was at 25 cents, you'd be worth about 25 million today. That makes me sad, but it does bring me some joy to realize that there are people out there that bought Bitcoin at that price point only to throw away their hard drive and are now out there searching through landfills to try to find them. Watching their suffering makes me feel a little bit better about myself. Regret number 6. I wish I would have learned lower level languages like C. Most programmers today start by learning high level languages like Python and JavaScript, and you can build an entire career without ever learning anything lower than that. But that begs the question, are you a real programmer? And the answer is no. No, you are not. Luckily though, all you have to do is learn the basics of C, which is a lot easier than you might think. You can learn it in 100 seconds or watch channels like Low Level Learning. Either way, once you write your first segfault, you officially become a real programmer. But seriously, even if you don't need a low-level language, learning the basics of C will just make you a better programmer. I started with high-level languages like Java and PHP. However, if I could go back, I would have learned C first because it gives you such a great foundation for everything else. Regret number 7, JavaScript on the server. Personally, I don't regret JavaScript on the server at all. I use the JavaScript in the browser. I use it to build mobile apps, desktop apps, smart fridge apps. I use it for machine learning and for VR and everything in between, including on the server. And I have no regrets. JavaScript may not be the most CPU and memory efficient language on the server. It may not have true type safety, and some of its NPM packages may try to mine crypto on your server. But for me, being able to write JavaScript on the server results in much faster development and iteration because you've got a single language across the entire tech stack. Regret number 8, grinding leak code. Many developers dream of getting into a big tech corporation like Google, Microsoft, or Pied Piper, but to do that, you'll need to get past a technical interview or multiple technical interviews. But the only way to get good at algorithms is to practice. Like many programmers, I've spent countless hours practicing on leak code, but every single time my solution is to brute force it with a hash table. In retrospect though, I regret wasting all this time here because the pinnacle of my career has been teaching people how to center divs on YouTube. Regret number 9, I wish I would have prioritized my health earlier. Sitting on your ass in front of a computer all day is one of the least healthy activities you can do. According to science, it's right up there with obesity and smoking. If you combine this activity with high amounts of stress and a bad diet, chances are your heart's going to explode by the time you're 30. I think a lot of people underestimate the dangers of this career. There's no way to avoid being in front of a computer, but there's a lot of things you can do to reduce the risk, like get a standing desk, take regular breaks, and don't consume products like Prime, which is currently being sued for having a massive amount of cancer-causing PFAs inside every bottle. In addition, when you take care of your physical health, your mental health and sharpness will also improve as a result, thus making you a better programmer. And finally, that brings us to regret number 10. I wish I never would have learned to code in the first place. I've always found writing code very satisfying, but sometimes it feels like we're not doing anything real. Like we're just creating fake vaporware for a boss with a fake job title who needs to hit KPIs for some fake performance metrics to make some fake money for investors. I envy the scuba instructor who gets to swim with turtles all day, or the paramedic who saves lives every day. These jobs might not pay as well, but at least they feel real. I fear in my final moments, my grandchild will inquire about my life's accomplishments, and the most impressive feat I can muster is something like, well son, back in 24, I once managed to fix a production bug while only creating 3 more bugs in the process. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
No, it's my mouse just went bad video, I think. Yes, it did. Let me get another battery. I don't know why. Like, okay, yeah, turn off. Let's see. Turn off? No, turn off. Cool. Another battery in there right now. Oh, over here. Let me get this one. See if it works. No? Okay, it does work. Nice. Let's see here. I play a picture. Huh? That's interesting. Let me see this.
Did you know you could get hacked by a picture? Yeah, if I served this malicious picture here to you and it rendered in your browser, there was a long period of time where it would be able to crash your browser or even give me remote code execution on your browser. And this bug was actually being used by the NSO group to remotely exploit iPhones with a zero-click exploit that took advantage of a bug in the libwebp library. Now, this bug is so crazy, and I haven't made a video about it, so I wanted to talk to you guys about it today. It is literally one of the most insane bugs that I've ever seen from a couple perspectives, and we'll talk about those in this video. Also, hi, my name is Low Level Learning. I make videos about programming and software security and cybersecurity, so if you like those things or you want to just hang out with me, hit that sub button. I really appreciate it. When you open a picture, what happens? The picture has to be interpreted by some piece of code to render it onto your screen. At the end of the day, a picture is just a binary file format that will render an image to the screen. The binary file format contains things like the data of the picture that are compressed into different blobs, things about the encoding of that color, maybe metadata about the picture itself or comments in that picture, as well as a number of other things. You can actually go look at the JPEG and the PNG format and go read about all the different features that those specs have, and for every spec there has to be a piece of software that parses it. And just like any piece of software, that software can have software vulnerabilities. Now, the libwebp library is meant to parse the WebP file format, a newer format for images and video that allow you to encode more data effectively into a better compressed format. And just like anything else, code that is new typically has vulnerabilities that haven't been found yet. Now, an interesting feature of the WebP format, and ultimately the source of the bug, is the ability to do lossless compression. The idea being you have a bunch of data that's really, really large, and you're able to compress it down to a smaller size. Now, in a lot of file formats, there is lossy compression, where the compression of that data results in the loss of information. You're able to remove information to make your file format smaller, but you can't expand that data back to what it used to be. There is loss in your information. By using an algorithm called Huffman coding, the libwebp format is able to do lossless compression on information stored in the image. Now, the way it does this is via a very complex algorithm that I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about in this video. What Huffman coding allows you to do is store the statistical likelihood of a particular data value to occur and assigning a code to it. By doing this, you're able to inform the decompressor of what codes mean what thing and allow you to store more information into a compressed file format. For example, in this example Huffman coding here, we have the character space who appears 7 times in the data, so we assign this code to it here. It means every time you see the bit sequence 111 or 7, you replace that with the 8-bit value of space, which is hex 20. By doing this, you're able to save a lot of room in your file format. Now, the problem with this is that if we included all of the statistical information about the image in one tree, that in and of itself would be very big. And in order to do that in a way that is lossless would contain a lot of size. There'd be a lot of room required to store that tree inside the image. So the libwebp format recursively takes the tree and then compresses that down via Huffman encoding, and does that a couple of times over and over again to a point where you have it as small as you can get it to recreate think about like Perestroika dolls, those trees, and produce the image as the way that it was found before it got compressed. Now, the issue with this, the reason that there's a bug here, is that when you build a Huffman table, there is no length check on the buffer size where you're storing the table. So effectively, if you're able to create the right Huffman encoding table that once it recursively unpacks itself to the correct size using the correct tree values, and again, this is not a simple algorithm, if you're able to do this, you're able to create a buffer overflow in the BSS of the libwebp library. Now, this buffer overflow eventually leads to a double free, which is a very common heap exploitation technique that allows a user to take over the status of the heap and use that to enable remote code execution. Now, you're probably wondering, how did we miss this bug? Like, what went so wrong that no one saw this bug in public? Like, we have plenty of projects that are doing open source software analysis. The biggest one that's most well known is Google's OSS fuzz. It's open source software fuzzing. If you're not familiar with what fuzzing is, fuzz testing is basically this way of taking software and essentially screaming at it and just making sure that when it fails gracefully. If you hand it data that it is not meant to process, it handles the error values in a way that does not expose the user to remote code execution via either memory corruption or some kind of logic error. And there are literally hundreds of projects that are integrated into open source fuzz, where effectively you produce a project, you put it into OSS fuzz, and then on the cloud it is consistently fuzzing, throwing bad data at it, and it will inform the developer if it finds a issue in your code. Now, what makes this bug so insane is the amount of things that have to go right to get the exploit to work, and the amount of things that have to go wrong for this bug to have been caught in OSS fuzz, and I think why it was able to remain unseen for so long. And if you go back to the story of how this bug got caught, it only got caught because there was a lab that detected suspicious behavior on the iPhone of an individual employed by a Washington, D.C. based civil society organization. Basically, the NSO group was doing political espionage, and a threat research organization saw their iPhone being exploited. But if it hadn't been caught in the wild, kind of like the XZ bug, this bug could have just sat in code for a long time. Now, how did we not catch it in OSS fuzz? Well, the reason is that it's such a difficult bug to reproduce. It's almost impossible to produce a Huffman encoding table that when it's unpacked over and over and over again to the top level, it overflows this table. And you'll even see in Ben Hawk's write-up of how they went through and did the technical triage of this bug. They recognized that there was an issue. They saw that there was no bounds check on the buffer that they put the Huffman table into, but how do you create a Huffman encoding table in an image in a way that allows you to effectively recursively unpack to get the buffer overflow condition to happen? And so he and his team had some really cool visualization tools here. One of them being that they're showing the Huffman encoding table, and basically they're trying to visualize how can they make the Huffman encoding table as large as possible by expanding out this graph structure. And how can they use that to leverage the buffer overflow? And the reason this bug got missed for so long is because of how hard it is to create a Huffman encoding table that enables a buffer overflow. The researcher Misty Mintkop, I guess, wrote this piece of code here called craft.c that allows us to create an image that is able to exploit the buffer overflow, right? If you look at the amount of code here required to do the math to actually produce a Huffman encoding table that violates this constraint, it's non-trivial. Like, there is a significant amount of code, I'm only halfway through it right now, to produce a Huffman encoding table that, when recursively unpacked.
Sure.
VLAN stands for Virtual Local Area Network. A VLAN is a local area network where the computers, servers, and other network devices are logically connected regardless of their physical location. So even if these devices are scattered in different places, it wouldn't matter, because a VLAN can logically group them into separate virtual networks. And the purpose of a VLAN is for improved security, traffic management, and to make a network simpler. So as an example, let's say you have a 3-story office building, and in this building you have computers that belong to certain departments that are mixed in with computers that belong to other departments on the same floor. So the red computers represents the accounting department, the blue computers represent the shipping department, and the green computers represent the support department. Now, as you can see, all these computers from these different departments are all connected to a switch. So they are all on one segment on a local area network, or LAN. So all the network broadcast traffic are mixed in with other departments. So the departments are all seeing each other's network traffic. Now suppose, as a network administrator, you wanted to separate the network broadcast traffic from these departments from each other, so that the accounting department doesn't see any traffic from support, support doesn't see any traffic from shipping, and so on. Now, one way to solve this is to physically move the computers that belong to the same department and put them together, such as putting them on the same floor and deploying extra network hardware and cabling. But that could be a hassle and unnecessary work. But there is an easier way to accomplish this, and that is by creating VLANs. By using VLANs on a VLAN-capable switch, you can logically create several virtual networks to separate network broadcast traffic. So in this case, we're going to create 3 VLANs for the 3 different departments. So we're going to create a VLAN for the accounting department, and then we'll create another VLAN for the support department, and then we'll create one for the shipping department. So now, as the VLANs are implemented, the traffic between the 3 departments are isolated, so they won't see any traffic created from the other departments. They will only see their own network traffic, even though all the computers from the different departments share the same cabling and switch. So in our example, the VLANs were created on the switch, and this is done by designating specific ports on the switch and assigning those ports to a specific VLAN. So on this switch, we'll create a VLAN for the support department, so we'll plug all the computers that belong to the support department into those ports. Then we'll designate another set of ports on the switch and create another VLAN for the accounting department. And finally, we'll designate another set of ports on the switch for another VLAN for the shipping department. And as you can see, the network traffic is separated between the departments because of the VLANs.
Got it now.
So, as stated before, there are several different reasons for creating VLANs. But one of the main reasons is for traffic management. Because as a local area network grows and more network devices are added, the frequency of the broadcasts will also increase, and the network will get heavily congested with data. But by creating VLANs, which divide up the network into smaller broadcast domains, it will help alleviate the broadcast traffic.
Nice. Very nice. That video was very helpful. What are we talking about today? Then, hello Fenris. How's it going, man? Just learning basically, and I was doing my my learning on Skills for All when they talked about VLANs, and I didn't really understand much about it. So I said, why not check a video about it and see, like, if it helps me understand it better. And this video was very, very, very nice. It made it a lot more simple, and now I've pretty much understood how it works, which is very nice. But yeah, how you doing? How you doing, man? Had a good day? Alright, let's get rid of that. Let's watch this. Good, nice to hear that. Did you stream today?
Today, I'm going to tell you what the best IDE is for programming this year in 2021. So why would you listen to me? Look how many monitors I have. If that doesn't buy me credibility, I do.
Been busy working hard and got some prep to do for tomorrow. Okay, what are you prepping for? And what have you been working on, if you don't mind sharing? Not been live today? Okay, yeah, makes sense. You've been busy today, so.
Do not know what will.
You haven't been able to.
So I know what I'm talking about. Aside from overspending on monitors, I have also tried out many IDEs during my career as a student and a software engineer. So before I tell you what the best IDE is for programming, let me tell you what makes an IDE great for programming. At the end of the day,
I had to reformat and reprint around 1500 slides from one of the course modules I teach. Ooh, damn. 1500 slides. That's a lot. That's a lot, man. Sounds like a lot of work. Took me all week, yeah. Sounds like a lot of work, man. Damn.
Today, it's all about how that IDE supports you in your code writing to maximize your productivity and your output. And all that color scheme bullshit programmers use to create themselves a pathetic excuse of an identity and a false sense of belonging in this not so exclusive subculture is useless and has nothing to do with what makes an IDE great. So without further ado, the best IDE for programming is Microsoft Word. Microsoft Word has the most customizable syntax highlighting you can get. With most IDEs, you can only have one color per type of token, but here you can literally put two different colors in a single word. Not only can you change the font color, but you can also highlight it, change the font, or for the 1% of you older folks who watch my videos, thank you, you can also increase the size of your font for a specific piece of code for your vision loss. So no more discrimination in the workplace. It's time to shine, my senior engineers. Oh, not senior engineers, but like seniors who happen to be engineers. So they're not. You can also hide a piece of code. For example, if you have your API key exposed, you can just unexpose it like so. Yeah, alright, so let's do a little demo. Let's write some Python code with this bad boy. So you start by creating a new page. I'm just going to print hello world here. You see this auto capitalization? You might think that this is an inconvenience, but it's actually great because it simulates Google's technical interview since they make you use Google Docs to write your code. So you'll get to practice undoing all the annoying autocorrect with this IDE. Okay, so let's save this code. For this IDE, you have to save it as a plain text file and MS-DOC encoding and check this box. If you don't do that, it won't work. This is a feature, not a bug. It's to prevent hackers from saving malicious code when they access your desktop.
Makes sense.
Let's run this Python code now. I'll start up Windows PowerShell because it is the best, since Microsoft is the best and anything they make is the best. Boom, runs like butter. Next, let's write merge sort, shall we? And then customize it to our needs. Save the file and run the command. Boom. If you don't understand merge sort, there's a merge sort video on jomaclass.com in the data structures and algorithms course. We make it really easy to understand with the intuitive animations to visualize the algorithm. Okay, plugging that just made me $150. I won't go hungry today. Microsoft Word is only $139.99 for purchase, and you get to keep it forever. I'm definitely not sponsored by them. But if you click the link below, you get a generous 1% off your purchase. You're welcome for the discount and for the advice. To thank me, you can pay me through PayPal, wire transfer, or you can send me a certified check. In the next video, I let Twitch chat trade $1,000 of my money on the stock market.
This man is risking his life to hunt for
This guy's in freak troll, yeah. I love his videos. Videos are amazing, man. Yeah. Just get that out of here. I already watched that, I'm pretty sure. So let's get it out of here. Sorry. Let's watch this. The videos
Hello,
really,
I'm
really
from
nice.
the Australian government. Remember how we promised to fix our broken environment laws? Well, we need to talk about that. You see, our environment laws, aka the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act, were introduced by this desiccated coconut a quarter of a century ago, which probably explains why we're the world leader in mammal extinctions and the only wealthy nation to be listed as a global deforestation hotspot, and why 19 of our ecosystems are collapsing, including the reef, which is currently dying in the arse of a warming ocean. And that is why our Environment Minister, a lovely lady who just wants to hug koalas, said, enough. Our environment laws are broken, and she promised to fix them. But actually, this act has been working just as the coconut intended, which was to greenlight the approvals of 740 fossil fuel projects since it was introduced. And to be honest, we fucking love that. Which is why, since inheriting those laws, not only have we not fixed them, we've kept on using them to approve more coal and gas projects. Except now we get to look sad and pretend we're forced to approve them because of our broken environment laws. So when Tanya gets a new coal or gas proposal, it goes something like this.
Don't you worry, Tanya will protect you. Oi, Tanya! Oh, hey, Santa. How can I help? Put that wombat down. I need you to approve 116 coal seam gas wells for us in Queensland. Oh no, the reef is undergoing its worst coral bleaching event on record. Burning more gas is going to make that worse. Oh, but my hands are completely tied by this darn EPBC Act, so approved. Oi, Dal, approve this extension to our coal mine, will ya? Oh, dang. We're already like the biggest exporter of coal on the planet, and even if that coal is burnt overseas, it'll still worsen the floods we're seeing here, but what can I do? Approved. Oi, sweet cheeks, can you chuck us an approval for this coal mine, will ya? And hurry up about it. Now I know that will cause more intense bushfires, but approved. Oi, Tan, here's another one. And can you also make us a sandwich, could you, hun? I suppose one new species extinction isn't too bad. Approved. Oi, lady, can you just... Approved.
And that's just the start. There's another 25 coal mines waiting on Tanya's desk for approval, like this one, which would clear 500 hectares of endangered koala habitat, and this one, which would clear even more. Oh, and that doesn't include all the gas proposals on Tanya's desk. And that is why environment groups have been begging us to insert a climate trigger in the EPBC Act. Is it a good idea? Sure, just ask Albo. 20 years ago, when in opposition, he introduced an amendment to the Act that would do just that. Take a look.
The climate change trigger will enable major new projects to be assessed for their climate change impact as part of any environmental assessment process. We need action, and one of the actions that we need is this amendment to the EPBC Act.
Sadly, it didn't pass. But now that he's the boss of this government, Albo can finally fix our environment laws. There's just one problem. He's not the boss of this government. These guys are. And when we promised you we'd fix our environment laws, they quickly reminded us of that. Oi, punters politics. Tell them about that time Santos sent a letter to our Resources Minister, Madeleine King. It went something like this.
Oi, Mad Dog. Oh, hey, Santos. Why is Tanya reforming our perfectly good fossil fuel approval, environmental law? I'm so sorry, Santos. Oh, what's this about First Nations winning a court case against Woodside? This could jeopardise our Barossa pipeline. How about I try and sneak a new law through Parliament so that even if reforms do come, they won't affect you? Do it. And maybe give it a long-ass name so no one suspects anything. How about the Offshore Petroleum and Greenhouse Gas Storage Amendment Safety and Other Measures Bill? Good job. So, did it work? Are we good to go? No, people worked out what I was doing and I had to pull the bill. Oh, come on, Mads. Oh, but don't worry. While everyone was looking into that, we approved your Barossa pipeline. Oh, good. And we'll reintroduce the sneaky bill when people have forgotten. You really are a sneaky, captured politician. Oh, thanks, Santos.
And what about that time the fossil fuel and mining lobbies called us up?
Oi, Tanya. Hey, guys. You have to shelve those EPBC reforms. Oh, we'll cop it so much from the public if we do. Just throw them an environmental protection agency or something. But isn't the EPA pointless if we don't strengthen the laws that underpin it? That's the point. Also, remember to give yourself call-in powers so you can override the EPA's decisions whenever you need to. Wouldn't that undermine the EPA's independence? Come on, Tanya. It's good for the country. Yeah, remember? Fossil fuel companies are the backbone of the economy. Don't we collect more HECS from our broke-ass students than we do from our petroleum tax? Yeah, forgot about that. Piss week EPA with ministerial call-in powers. Got it? Got it.
But what really did it was that call we got from Woodside, or as some call it, the Western Australian government.
She knows that I'm the Prime Minister, right? Oi, Albo. Oh, hey WA. Oh, sorry to hear about your forest dying due to climate drought. It looks really bad in the photo. Shut up. You need to shelve those EPBC reforms right now. But we promised the vote. You know we own this state, right? Yeah. You wouldn't want us to tell folks here to vote Liberal at the next election now, would you? No. Just saying, that might put you into minority government. That would be even worse than losing the reef.
And sure enough, the next day we announced that we won't be fixing our environment laws after all. But hey, here's a new Piss Week EPA with ministerial call-in powers. And yes, we know, the State of the Environment report said nature is dying. And sure, we blamed the previous government for a decade of inaction and willful ignorance. And we know you want this government to protect nature and take real climate action. Unfortunately, this government is captured in the arse by these guys. So if you want one that gives a shit about what you want, you'll have to elect a better one at the coming election. Till then, we'll keep pretending to be sad as we approve these 25 new coal mine proposals, which is a bit like crying while you're having a wank in public. You know it's wrong, but you just can't stop. Australian Government. Authorised by Paula, without whom the Juice Media would not have been possible.
Alright, yeah, I think it's about time I ended the stream here, guys. Called it a day. I'm just gonna go and chill now. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.